This year, we visited every school in the city.
1, 2, 3, fight.
We partnered with the nonprofit community to ensure that every child in Richmond Public Schools received eyeglasses or eye screenings. We also worked with the nonprofit and business community to ensure every child, every incoming freshman received a tablet. Working alongside the school board and city council, we introduced the RVA Education Compact, ensuring that we all work together for positive outcomes for our children. We unveiled a monument to one of Richmond's greatest pioneers, Maggie L. Walker, the first woman to charter a bank. We focused on improving core services. We got to 1,600 alleys and 25,000 potholes.
We're gonna get it right.
We plowed the snow, we fixed your potholes, we repaired your alleys, we cut the grass, and we even picked up your leaves. In our first 100 days, we conducted a performance review of every department in City Hall. We held community office hours and walks in every district in the city.
Hello, how are you? And I didn't doubt what you said until I walked down this way.
What I would appreciate is just thank Mark Stoney for doing this. He didn't have to do it.
We launched a successful tax amnesty campaign that benefited the city with $2.4 million. We refinanced our bonds that will save the city $13 million over the next 15 years. And for the first time in years, we submitted our comprehensive annual financial report not only on time, but early. This year, we welcome businesses like Owens & Minors and Thomson Reuters to downtown Richmond.
Thank you for your commitment to the Commonwealth of Virginia. Yes, thank you, Richard. Great.
We'll bring in over 1,000 jobs this year. This year, we initiated a competitive process to redevelop our neighborhood north of Broad in downtown Richmond. We launched RVA Bike Share.
2, 1. Yeah.
And we committed to Vision Zero, creating safer streets for our bikers, our pedestrians, and our commuters. Thank you for all you did in helping us build One Richmond in 2017. Now let's use this passion, this energy, and go out and make 2018 an even bigger success. Let's go make it happen.
We'd like to welcome the students of Bellevue Elementary School to give our Pledge of Allegiance. Would you all please remain standing for tonight's invocation by the Reverend Dr. Yvonne Jones Bibbs from the 6th Baptist Church.
Let us bow. Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessing to pray over our great city of Richmond, Virginia. We especially pray for the guidance tonight of our great mayor, LaVar Stoney, as he shares the State of the City address. Thank you, God, for Mayor Stoney and his team and for their leadership in 2017, a year that has been very challenging but very productive. Now, please, God, receive our prayer of thanksgiving in advance for guiding Mayor Stoney as he lays out his plan and strategies for 2018. And may this body of people tonight and others who work and live in our great city support, pray, encourage, and work on common ground as he, with your guidance, move this city forward. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dr. Bibbs. We'd like you now to please welcome 8th grade Martin Luther King Jr. Middle School student, Mikkel Walden, who will introduce the mayor.
Good evening. My name is Mikkel Walden. I'm an 8th grade student at Martin Luther King Jr. Middle School. On behalf of my fellow students, Principal Dabney, our teachers and staff, welcome to our school. It is an honor tonight to introduce our mayor to deliver the State of the City address. He is Richmond's 80th and youngest mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the mayor of the City of Richmond, the Honorable LeVar M. Stone.
Please have your seats. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Well, I want to welcome you to Martin Luther King Middle School. I also want to begin by thanking my friend, Pastor Reverend Dr. Yvonne Bibbs, for that blessing. I also want to thank the kids of Bellevue Elementary School for that rendition of the Pledge of Allegiance. And also I want to thank Mikkel for that introduction as well. I also want to thank Principal Dabney and the team over here at MLK for helping us get this program off the ground. Give them a round of applause. I'd also like to recognize my friends on the City Council tonight. I also, led by Councilman Chris Hilbert. I don't see the councilman. Oh, here we go. It's dark. I mean, it's light. Also, Dr. Newbill's with us tonight as well, the Vice President. Also, I want to recognize the leaders of our school board as well who are with us tonight, led by Chairwoman Dawn Page and Vice Chairman Dr. Sapini. I also want to give a special welcome to my new friend, Jason Cameron, the new superintendent of Richmond Public Schools. Jason is an innovative educator whom I believe will make a real difference in the lives of our kids. And Jason, I want to say to you, I can't wait to get to work and making things happen. Thank you for coming tonight. I also know there's some lawmakers who made it out tonight as well. I see Delegate Dawn Adams who's with us. Let's give her a round of applause. Is Delegate Jeff Bourne here as well? Let's give him a round of applause anyway. And I also would be remiss if I not recognize our Chief Administrative Officer, Selena Cuffey-Glenn, and our cabinet behind us as well. In the front row, we have the department heads of the great city of Richmond. Please stand up and be applauded as well. And finally, I want to thank the residents of the city of Richmond. Over the past year, I traveled extensively throughout the city, visiting every school, every police precinct, and attending hundreds of events, from boardrooms to ball games, community centers to church halls. Your support and encouragement, and sometimes unfiltered advice, has helped remind me of what is so important here in the city, and what we need to do to continue in building one Richmond. Ladies and gentlemen, I am optimistic for the future of our city. And thanks to what we were able to accomplish together over the past year, I can confidently stand here today before you and say that the state of our city is strong. "2017 was a pivotal year. I believe we must take that momentum from 2017 and bring it into 2018 to tackle some of the biggest challenges that we face. After years of unmet expectations, neglect, and breakdowns in the basics, we restored faith and confidence in city government by improving its efficiency and concentrating our focus on delivering the service our residents deserve. We did the little things that make a difference in the everyday lives of our residents. We plowed the roads, we cut the grass, and we cleaned up the alleys. 1,600 alleys, roughly 100 miles of improvement, to be exact, in addition to repairing 25,000 potholes. And yes, I know there's still some potholes out there, but we're going to get to it. I guarantee you that. We revamped the permit office, offering expanded hours, better parking, and expedited processing to make doing business with the city easier. And with the help of the city council, we invested in our police and firefighters, providing the raises we need to retain and train our officers and firefighters. And I'm proud to announce tonight that the Richmond Fire Department just received word that it has received the Assurance Services Office Class 1 rating for fire safety. This means now they're one of only 270 public fire protection districts in the country out of 45,000 nationwide to receive such a designation. Congratulations, Chief Carter. We conducted a performance review of all city services and have already begun implementing our department action plans. And frankly, we made changes in leadership of key departments to put the right people in the right positions to better serve you. And after years of dysfunction and missed deadlines, we also put our financial house in order. We brought the overdue comprehensive annual financial reports from previous years to completion, and we finished the 2017 CAFR on time, in fact, 3 weeks early. We held a tax amnesty period to collect long unpaid city taxes and brought in $2.9 million, roughly $500,000 over our goal. And through the proactive efforts of our finance department, we conducted a bond refunding that will save the city nearly $13 million over the next 15 years. The Wall Street credit rating agencies rewarded us with a reaffirmation of our AA+ bond rating, making Richmond one of the few cities in the country with that distinction. Additionally, Fitch put us on the doorstep of AAA. Businesses express confidence in our direction by locating and expanding in our city. Businesses like Owens & Minor, Nerva, and Thomas Reuters were among those businesses who helped add almost 1,000 jobs here this year. More than 50 projects have been announced covering residential, commercial, industrial, and mixed-use development, representing an estimated $924 million in investment in our city. It's a big deal. And we have received a very positive initial response to our proposal to redevelop the area north of Broad Street in downtown Richmond. We also breathed life into public projects that had been long delayed or derailed, and we engaged with the community on issues that haven't been seriously discussed or addressed in many, many years. We got RVA bike share off the drawing board and on the streets. We initiated the RVA Green 2050 plan with a goal of reducing our carbon footprint by 80% in the next 3 decades. We launched Vision Zero, our zero tolerance plan to prevent traffic deaths, and took the step toward installing 250 high visibility intersections on our roadways. And we finally unveiled the statue of Maggie Walker in her rightful place off of Broad Street. And speaking of monuments, in response to the rising national discord over Confederate statuary, we formed the Monument Avenue Commission to tackle this difficult issue in our own city by committing to a process of dialogue and outreach, not violence and division. And when out-of-state protesters came to town, our police department and our residents rose to the occasion. We faced the hate, bigotry, and disruption that targeted our own city and handled a Confederate rally and counter-protest with professionalism, preparation, and a plan. We protected rights as well as people and property, resulting in a day that produced no violence and no injuries. Chief Durham, I want to let you know that I'm thankful and proud of the job your department did to make that day so uneventful.
And I want to thank also our regional and local partners who helped us in the law enforcement side of things, but also from our city departments as well, who lent assistance. Thank you guys so much. Friends, Richmond is a welcoming, inclusive, and diverse place. That is our strength. Monuments may move, they may rise, they may remain, or they may fall, but we will never let the hate, intolerance, and bigotry of those looking to cling to a Jim Crow past get in the way of this city's future. And folks across the country have already noticed that our city is moving in a new direction. In 2017, Richmond was rated one of the top cities in the South by Southern Living, and the 24th best place to live in the U.S. by U.S. News and World Report. We made the top 5 in Business Insider's hippest cities for those who live under 30. Realtor.com has designated us as a top 10 tech town. And Entrepreneur.com ranked us 3rd on its list of booming cities. Yeah, accolades are nice. They are evidence of our city's strength and vitality. However, in 2018, I'm more interested in where we are going than where we've been. Everyone in this room should be proud of what we've accomplished, but everyone in this room should know that we still have a lot of work to do. It is time for us this year to take the necessary steps towards being a greater city, towards building one Richmond. For us to be the best, we need to be even better, not simply by filling more potholes or approving permits faster and being smarter stewards of our dollars, but by creating more opportunity for all of our residents. Our people deserve an opportunity to earn a living wage and have reliable transportation that gets them to their job. Our people deserve an opportunity to find affordable housing in a safe neighborhood. And perhaps most importantly, our children deserve the opportunity to get a good education in our public school system and to be taught by teachers who inspire in a system that has the resources for the kids to succeed. And they deserve school facilities that are incubators for learning. Education is the pathway to success. Having that opportunity is the reason I'm standing before you today. You all know the story. I was the first in my family to graduate from high school and the first in my family to graduate from college. And I want every child in our city to have that same access to opportunity to succeed. We've already taken important steps to meeting some of the immediate needs of our school children. Last year, we made the largest single investment of any administration, an additional $6.1 million towards teacher salaries and retention. Working with the business community, we partnered with Sprint, which will provide tablets and free internet access to every incoming public high school freshman for the next 4 years. And with our nonprofit partners, Connexus and Vision to Learn, we were able to forge a partnership with RPS so that every Richmond school child who needs eyeglasses will get them. The day we presented those glasses to children at Red Elementary School was one of the proudest days in my life as mayor currently. I remember a young mother grabbing me and saying that if it wasn't for this partnership, she would not have discovered that her 7-year-old was blind in one eye. That day, he left with a pair of glasses. These initiatives can make a big difference in a child's life, but we all know there is a need to do more. For too long, we have neglected these needs and watched our facilities slip into obsolescence, decay, and decline. That is why I am grateful to both the City Council and the school board for your commitment and investment in unanimously passing the RVA Education Compact to care for the whole child, a first of its kind. This agreement will provide the framework for meeting the educational needs of all of our children, and I'm excited that we have our compact team together and in place, and we are ready to get to work. Passing the compact is a
pledge between our 19 elected representatives to set aside politics, to work collaboratively with the best interests of our students in mind. It does not mean we won't disagree, because we will, but debate is healthy. Well, we all know our residents expect action from us. The citizens of Richmond are tired of finger pointing and the old squabbles. They're ready to see us set aside the historic fights between the mayor, the city council, and the school board and get to work on the most pressing problems facing our schools. That was what they elected us to do. We cannot underestimate the importance of improving instruction in our schools. We cannot expect new school buildings to be the final solution to closing the achievement gap. But we must acknowledge that our school system faces a number of critical and serious facility needs, whether that be overcrowding in the South Side or the deterioration of conditions at schools like George Mason Elementary School. The state of affairs is simply unacceptable. The first joint meeting of the Education Compact, the city's financial advisors relayed to us that the city's debt capacity is functionally maxed out. To fund any new school construction before 2023 will require not only an investment of funds to cover the debt payments, but also new revenues to create an additional debt capacity. That's why yesterday I submitted an ordinance to the City Council that would increase our city's mills tax by 1.5%. This would generate an initial $9.1 million in new funding per year, which will allow us to expand our debt capacity and provide $150 million in new capital funding over the next 5 years. This would be solely dedicated to Richmond Public Schools. These funds will be placed in a special reserve only available to fund school facilities needs, as opposed to an increase in our city's real estate tax, which would be borne 100% by Richmonders. Nearly a third of the mills tax is paid in the city and paid for by those who are visiting the city from out of town, visitors who live more than 50 miles away. And with our city population swelling by tens of thousands of people every workday, the percentage is even greater. So let me be clear. I do not relish the idea of imposing a higher tax on any of our residents or even our visitors. And I respect the concerns of our restaurateurs who are responsible for so much of the positive trends we've seen in our city. I promise to be a champion, a committed champion for their success, and pledge that we will work with you to make it easier for you to grow and expand. But we are talking about 1.5 pennies, 1.5 cents for our children, less than these 2 pennies I have in my hand. Surely our kids are worth that much. Now let me speak to the parents of our students and to our families, to everyone who cares about our children. This is a plan that will allow us to begin building schools today, not in 5 or 6 years. I've been to every school in this city. I've seen the overcrowding in our South Side. I've been to Elkhart Thompson, and I've been to George Wythe. And I cannot accept the cruel reality that if we do nothing, a kindergartner in George Mason Elementary School today will spend her entire elementary years in the same unacceptable facility. That is unacceptable. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a clear path forward, and I believe we must act now. So I'm calling on the City Council to pass this measure, and I'm urging all those who care about the future of our children to support them and make your voices heard. Once this funding plan moves forward, hard choices will still remain. We will need to ask ourselves how we use our limited pool of funds to offer a 21st century learning environment to the greatest number of students as fast as possible. I want to thank the school board in passing their school facilities plan in December. And I will not dictate to the school board, as has been done in the past, on what schools to build or how to build them. But we will have to stretch every dollar to ensure the greatest outcome for our students. I've already said I put this school facility plan forward because, frankly, I don't believe we can wait until 2023 when our city's debt capacity will open up into addressing some of these emergency needs in our school system. But I don't believe we can wait until 2023 to plan for how we use this future debt capacity. We can no longer afford to talk about education, housing, public safety, poverty mitigation, the 4 pillars of Building One Richmond, in 4 different silos. That's why Building One Richmond will require one plan. One plan to guide our investments in our schools and housing and neighborhoods to build true communities of opportunity. A community of opportunity is a neighborhood that boasts attractive, sustainable, affordable housing, both rental and owner-occupied. These homes line safe streets. The children and adults in these homes have access to affordable health care and healthy foods. The children attend high-performing public schools, pre-K through 12 and beyond. The adults hold jobs that pay wages that enable them to meet their needs and the needs of their loved ones. The jobs and the houses and the schools are connected by a multimodal public transportation system. And woven throughout all of this is a rich tapestry of natural, recreational, and cultural amenities that are accessible and affordable to all. But our current situation underscores a hard truth, that our city is only as strong as our weakest neighborhood and our most vulnerable neighbor. I was proud of the steps we took last year through our Office of Community Wealth Building to expand our services to help more than 1,500 residents find a path to employment and self-sufficiency. Today, it's worth an applause. Today, we are making progress on schools and employment. We must devote similar attention to our housing needs as well. Housing, you all know it. Housing is foundational because without safe and stable shelter, in the words of Harvard sociologist Matthew Desmond, everything else falls apart. I know from my own experience what it's like to live in a place that doesn't have heat, or you have to keep warm by wearing your winter coat inside and turning on the stove and opening the oven door to heat your place. No one deserves to live in that sort of environment. The conditions in our RRHA housing communities are shameful and unacceptable. In my recent conversations with the leadership of the Richmond Redevelopment and Housing Authority, I've urged them to acknowledge that trust is lacking and it must be restored. But that will not happen until compassion and concern are demonstrated and promises are kept. The simple fact is that for decades, the federal, state, and city governments have let our public housing residents down. For that, I'm sorry. We all must do better. And I will do everything in my power as mayor to address the current issues of facing RRHA and work with them toward longer-term solutions. That's why I'm asking for a full accounting of the capital, mechanical, and technical issues surrounding the current public housing communities. I suspect the scope of these issues will be daunting. But we as a city need to acknowledge that RRHA cannot do this alone. The city has to step up and be a partner. So I'm pledging my support and the support of my staff as we navigate these difficult issues. We need to be honest about some of the hard facts, and that is, this work will be complicated and it will cost millions. In fact, RRHA says it has more than $150 million in deferred maintenance. The problems took decades to unfold and will take years to fix. And in the meantime, thousands of our fellow citizens will continue to reside in the existing public housing courts.
So, as we seek to redevelop public housing and to provide residents with either better housing options, we must undertake this work in true partnership with the residents of public housing. So through the efforts of the Office of Community Wealth Building, our Human Services portfolio, the Richmond City Health District, and our nonprofit partners, along with the generosity of the philanthropic community, we will continue to identify and deliver the essential human services that provide hope, health, opportunity for all of our residents. We must keep in mind that our ultimate goal is not simply to move poverty around, but to reduce poverty itself. Beyond public housing, thousands of Richmonders struggle to afford their rent or even pay their mortgage. The good news is that Richmond is growing. Folks of all ages, ethnicities, and walks of life want to live right here. The challenge is that the demand for housing continues to outpace the supply. To meet this challenge, I'm calling for the creation of 1,500 new affordable housing units over the next 5 years. This goal will not be achievable without the help of both private and nonprofit developers. To accomplish this goal will require City Hall to retool its approach to development. Accordingly, I will reorganize the housing and community development functions of the city to put more focus and resources on this important component of development. I will also continue to insist that affordable housing be a key element when the city issues requests for proposals for redevelopment of significant parcels. And these ideas are not mine. People like Councilwoman Ellen Robertson have talked about this for years. So before this year is out, my administration will deliver to the council for their consideration a package of incentives that will encourage the increased production of affordable housing units in the city. As I noted a few minutes ago, our housing challenges are not new and did not arise overnight. So there's no quick, cheap, or easy fix. Just as our citizens deserve our sustained efforts, so do the communities in which they live. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if we don't commit to building better neighborhoods, brighter futures will continue to elude our young people and their families regardless of how new their school is. When our debt capacity opens up by more than $300 million in 2023, we don't want to just build new school buildings that will be inhabited by the same old issues. When it comes to schools and housing, we can't invest in one to the exclusion of the other. So my commitment to you tonight is that we will begin today to develop a unified strategy that will allow us to make strategic investments in schools and housing that build not only bricks and mortar, but also build true communities of opportunity. So we have much work to do this year, but I'm excited about the changes that are already underway. In addition to its ongoing work, our Office of Community Wealth Building will create a strong network of at least 50 Richmond organizations to address and destroy systemic barriers to the upward mobility of all Richmonders. And it will create career plans and actively case manage 600 low-wealth Richmond residents. The goal is to move beyond turkey and toys around the holidays and offer sustainable services that constitute a progressive hand up and not a hand out. Last year, although citywide violent crime actually went down, too many people were victims of gun violence. It breaks my heart every time a life is lost to violence in our city. I'm gratified that after years of deficit staffing, our police department is now at its sworn authorized strength of 750 officers. This strength will allow our police department to pursue community building strategies that complement their crime-fighting strategies. In addition to the increased deployment of crime-fighting technology, the RPD will also launch the One Richmond Combined Interdisciplinary Team, bringing together key representatives in local, state, and federal government to address violent crime. Through my introduced budget in March, I will also seek approval for our police department to add 5 civilian community outreach coordinators within the Community Youth and Intervention Unit. These coordinators will work in our high crime communities to coordinate the needs of our residents with other city departments and social services. I've also heard loud and clear from our communities that our children need more access to quality after-school programming and to recreation that fills their time in a constructive, positive way. And I concur with that. So you can expect my budget in March to invest in expanded after-school programs and in our communities, our neighborhood community centers as well. We will continue our efforts to improve the efficiency of City Hall through implementation of the performance recommendations to improve our communication, accountability, and customer service. This will be led by a new unit in the Office of the Chief Administrative Officer. With all the needs in our city, we have to be smart and efficient about every dollar that we use. Because being inefficient is immoral. And by the end of this year, we hope to have a new website for our city. That will make it easier for folks to navigate. Long overdue. Will allow for folks to navigate and access information from the government, and will also fully implement the InterGov system that will help reduce permit times even more. Later this year, we also expect our bus rapid transit line to be completed and then synced with our transit network plan. It will provide efficient, reliable transportation to businesses and jobs with less waiting and faster commutes. Next month, we will get our first look at proposals generated by the RFP for the North of Broad redevelopment. Let me reiterate that we will only move forward with a proposal if it meets our goals of including a new GRTC transfer station, providing mixed income housing, local jobs, and does not require existing city revenues to build. And we will proceed with exploring our best options in developing the valuable city-owned land off the boulevard. And I maintain my promise that in late spring, we will cut the ribbon on a revitalized 17th Street Market. Late last year, I was honored to be one of the 4 mayors selected to be part of the Rose Fellowship, sponsored by the Urban Land Institute and the National League of Cities, which brings in a team of experts to look at a land use issue in our city. I focus our efforts to look at Chaco Valley. Next month, these advisors will spend time in Richmond and will present their high-level recommendations in a public meeting at the Main Street Station on February 8th. We need to balance our investments into the Main Street Station and mass transit and meet the environmental challenge of the area being in the floodplain. But most importantly, we must respect the national historical significance of the burial ground and jail site and elevate the work of the Slave Trail Commission. Important work is already being done to identify and develop the former site of the Lumpkins Jail and Devil's Half Acre. The sacred grounds contained within the Chaco Valley footprint is an area we will protect and honor. Enslaved Africans built this city. And it is up to us, to ensure they are remembered. And in doing so, we have an opportunity to create a cultural and international destination that will not only educate, but also promote dialogue, reconciliation, and ultimately healing. In the coming year, my team and I look forward to meeting and working with stakeholders to make this project a reality. I also look forward to working with our regional partners and continuing our collaboration and cooperation on issues that matter to all of us, whether it's working together on economic development projects and transportation, or addressing those challenges that know no boundaries, like homelessness and the opioid crisis. Our localities in this region are different, but our goals are the same, and our futures are intertwined. A strong Richmond means a strong Henrico, a strong Chesterfield, and a strong Hanover. I'm grateful to have friends in all those localities who understand this, and who know that we need each other, and we all benefit when we work together. And I'm grateful again to the people of the great city of Richmond who have given me the opportunity to lead. This has been the fastest and best year of my life. And I'm proud of our start. And I expect more progress over the next year. We've done a good job getting the small things right, but we must continue to do so. But now is also time to lean into the big things. We have daunting challenges that have vexed the city for decades. But while we must be aware of our history, we can't be trapped by it or overcome by the scale of the tasks that lie before us. We have the opportunity to make change here and now that will impact the future of our city for generations to come. We must be bold. We must be united. We must have faith. One Richmond means a Richmond in which every person lives with dignity and has an opportunity to thrive. Everyone has the right to rise here. And it is achievable if we harness our resources and focus our collective will to action. This is what I'm demanding first and foremost of myself, my team, and the public servants who work for our great city every single day. But it is also what I'm asking of everyone who cares about Richmond's present and future. Earlier this evening, they might still be in the back, one of Richmond Symphony's youth orchestras was practicing right here in this school. The Symphony also has an in-school program for MLK students. I believe the next Yo-Yo Ma or Wynton Marsalis can come from right here. That's why, whether it's Amazon or our bid to host the International Olympics of the Violin competition here in 2020, we need to think big. More importantly, we want our children to dream big. It's easy. It's easy to complain about ills and challenges that we face, but tough times require us to keep working and to remain steadfast. So whatever your age, gender, race, whether you live in poverty or affluence, whether you serve a faith community, lead a foundation, work for a nonprofit, or earn your pay in the private sector, everyone has something at stake and something to contribute. The challenge to create real opportunity, real justice for the next generation will outlast my time in office and may even pass to some of you all here. But it is important work that we need to continue. And believe me, it's worth it. Together this year, let's make Richmond and the Richmond region a leader, not only in our state, but in our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, this may seem like a lot. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. In fact, we can run and chew gum at the same time. You know Richmond as well as I know it. We are a strong, resilient city. As I told you just over a year ago, on my first day of office, I promise you I will not rest in working for you. I will not slow down. And you already know I will not give up. I'm too excited for our future. So tonight, I ask you to join me in casting aside the doubt and defeatism that have long impeded the progress of this great city. Let's be bold and courageous in embracing the positive promise of what we can accomplish this year.
working together as one Richmond. Thank you, and God bless the great city of Richmond.